So morning guys, morning. This is a webinar that's going to help anybody who wants to use this strategy for MetaTrader 4. Excuse me. And the strategy has been originally built for Sierra charts. There's a number of different tutorials and resources available to help understand how I'm using this strategy. I've been documenting it since November on the website. Various webinars and video tutorials, etc. But today we're going to do a tutorial specifically on how you can install it into MetaTrader and the steps that you need to take to be able to do that. So the way that it will look, he says, I'm just going to change over my screens. The way that it will look will be this. You should be able to see at the moment a MetaTrader screen in front of you. This is one of my accounts. This is one that has it installed already. And there are two things that we're going to need to install onto MetaTrader and one process we need to also do as well. So let's just back it up a second. On the strategy, we need to use a 2-minute chart. Now, MetaTrader doesn't come with a 2-minute chart as standard. You've either got a 1-minute chart or a 5-minute chart, but we want the 2-minute chart. So we're going to need to do a few steps to fix that. Then what we're going to need to do is transfer across 2 indicator files into our MetaTrader folder. I'll show you how to do that. And once we've done that, we can simply click and drag the strategy onto a 2-minute chart, and you'll have the arrows. Happy days. And once the code is published, it will be available to use if you want to. I'll go into details of that another time. Right, so let's just first of all have a look at what it is. It's very simple as far as the way that it will look aesthetically on here. There are no real inputs that you'll need to play too much with. And I think I'm still actually in the code, so let me just quickly check that for errors. Okay, I at the moment have been trialing with a couple of protection methods, and I just need to go and change that quick so it will show. There we go. There we go. That's updated that. And so this is pretty much what it will look like. Now you can change the way that the arrows will appear by just simply going into the indicator and playing with the settings. On the colors tab here, there aren't really any inputs as such, but I'll talk you through them anyway. You can have alerts sent to you if you want to, and you can also have push notifications sent to you, which will come to your mobile. And this arrow offset just shows how many points away from the high or the low the arrows will sit, and that's it. That's all the inputs there are. And colors you can change if you want to. Play around with the settings, you know how to do that. So do whatever you like with the way that it looks on there. But these are the arrows. This is how it will appear. Now, this is using one additional indicator as well, which is the super trend indicator. And I'll provide that to you. You need to have it installed, but you don't need to necessarily use it. But it needs to be on the computer because the actual strategy calls it uses some of the information in it to calculate itself. So if you don't have it, it won't work. So you don't necessarily need to drop it on your chart, but you do need to have it on your computer. Okay. And that's how it would be. And the strategy I've gone through in a lot of detail in other videos, but you hopefully should know how to use it already now. You're buying or selling based on your directional bias and how aggressive or conservative you are. And if you find a signal that you like, you take it and you put your stop loss underneath. For example, on a buy signal, your stop loss underneath the super trend. And when it gets into profit, you go into trade management mode where you start trailing behind the stop loss. So if the price action closes below the super trend, then you're out of the trade unless it actually catches your trailing stop. 4 ways to get out of the trade. your emergency stop at the beginning, or it hits your target, or you get trailed out, or price closes below the dynamic stop loss. All right, so that's in a summary the strategy itself. Okay, so let's go and set this up on a fresh MetaTrader installation, and I'll show you how to do that step by step. I'm going to load up a different MetaTrader account here, which will be this one. It's just a simple demo with Ava. And I'm just going to assume that you have already got MetaTrader installed. If you don't, then obviously stop the video and go and do that and get familiar with how to use it. But when you load up MetaTrader, it should probably include something like this. You might see some charts already, get rid of them, and just click on the chart that you want, which in our case is going to be the DAX 30. All right. It loads up by default an hourly chart with a grid. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Control G gets rid of the grid. It's just my preference. And I'm going to turn this from an hourly chart to a 1 minute chart. You can even right click on it and time frame 1 minute. Okay. Now that's very important. You've got to do that. And I'll explain why in a second. With me so far? I hope so. Okay. Now on the navigator screen down here, if you don't see that, just go to View, Navigator, or press Control and N. On the navigator screen, click on the plus icon by scripts, find period converter, click and drag, drop it onto the DAX chart, click on inputs, change that to 2. Press OK. So what that's done is that's created a background process whereby this is now taking all of the 1 minute data and converting it into a 2 minute chart. But you can't quite see that here. You've got to go and find that in an offline chart. Now to find an offline chart, just go to File, Open Offline. And you should see, if you scroll down to wherever your DAX chart is, in our case here, DAX 30 M2. Double click that or press Open. 2 minute chart. Ta-da! Okay, I just maximize the window. I don't like the grid. Control G, get rid of that. I don't want the bars, I want the candlesticks. So I'll click that. I'll zoom in. Let's just tidy this up. Right click Properties. Color scheme black on white. And so bullish candle is white, and we'll go with bear candle is, let's say, whatever color you like, some kind of light red, pink. There we go. That looks a little bit more like my Sierra Charts platform now, which I'm happy with. Okay. So first step is done. We have a 2 minute chart for the DAX, tick. Next thing we need to do is install the indicators. So when you get access to this, once it's published, there will be 2 files, which you will be able to see here. You probably can't see it right now, so I will just flip it over. 2 files. You've got DTI and Supertrend DT. They're both EX4 files, which means they're compiled code. And what you can do is you just select those and cut them or copy them, whatever you want to do. I'll copy them. Okay. And once you copy them, what we're going to need to do is go into our MetaTrader folder. So I'm just going to come back to MetaTrader. I'm going to click File, Open Data Folder. Now I can see this, but you might not be able to. So let's just change the share here. What do we got? What about this one? Yeah. There we go. It opens this dialog, which is just your MetaTrader installation folder. You just shift that over there. And the bit that we want to go into is this one here, MQL4. That's the programming language in which the indicator is written. And then in these folders, the two that you'll only ever use really will be these two, experts and indicators. An expert is for an automated trading algorithm. You may be familiar with that already, but we're going into this one. It's important that you don't put it in that one. Put it in this one. They both have the same type of file, but this is the one we want. So indicators. And just simply paste it there. Don't put it in a subfolder. Just put it in there. It's very important you just don't put it in a subfolder. Otherwise, the code will not work. And that's it. That's the heavy bit done. The rest of it's easy. Go back to MetaTrader. Right-click anywhere on an indicator that you can see here. Just right-click, press refresh. And this is the moment of truth. We'll click and drag this now. Okay, great. So it's telling me the demo version has expired because it is a demo version. So I am going to choose the correct version of the file. And there we go. So that has, excuse me, now got the correct version of the file. And this is what would happen when you're installing yours, because you will have the right one. Now, I changed the background on MetaTrader to white, and you can see that the arrows are actually sort of a green. And what I might do is just put some inputs in the final version that just allows you to change the color of the arrows and the size of the arrow there. But the other way you can do that is just press Control and I, or right-click Indicators List. And that's that. And you can go to colors and you can change them to whatever you like. Let's change them to black, maybe width 2, just for whatever reason. And there you go. That's it. If you want the super trend indicator on as well, then just click and drag that on. And same thing, you can go to the indicators list and you can change those around if you want to. Now, if you were turning this into an expert advisor and you wanted to use an iCustom function to do that, then you can see in this that there are actually two indicators, both have 4 buffers, and you can go and use an iCustom function to call those buffers and use some simple logic to figure out when a signal is there and then base an expert advisor on that iCustom call. If you're not too fussed about doing that, or you want someone else to do it, a developer will know how to do that, no problem. Just ask them to use it for an EA. But just use it with warning, you know, because I don't automate this strategy because I feel it still requires a bit of user judgment. There's certain decisions that I take that I filter out certain signals, and an expert advisor takes a lot of programming to be able to be as sophisticated as using your own human judgment. So I recommend don't do that. But hey, people don't listen to me. And that is all that needs to happen. You're done. You're ready to go. So once that published code is available, I will show you the links and you can get all of that if you want to. You know, it's up to you. And yeah, I wish you the best of luck with it. But that for today is pretty much all I wanted to run through. So I hope that's good. I hope you have a good trading day and we'll catch up with you again soon. Take care.